Hello, friends. How are you all? I hope you're doing great and taking care of yourself. I try to simplify your learning journey of DevOps and the SRE by breaking down various topics into the simpler words. Currently, I am running the video series on Docker fundamentals for beginner. And today's video, we are going to basically talk about top frequent use commands by every DevOps engineer as well as the SRE engineer. So, without much further delay, let's get started. So, friends, before we get into each and every detailing of the Docker commands, let me first explain you a simple difference between what is a container and what is a Docker image. Okay, if you haven't gone through my previous videos, I have explained the difference between virtual machines and a container and what makes container stands out over a virtual machine. So what is a container? A container is an isolated environment where it is running an instance of your application, or container is an isolated environment where your application is running. Now, what is the image? Let's understand that. So what being a developer, you have basically developed a Node.js application. As a developer, you know that these are my prerequisites to run my Node.js application, like installing a node package manager, installing the express application generator, as well as other libraries. And now once you have developed that application, now you want to package it and run inside a container. So that packaging of the application is nothing but a Docker image. We call it as a Docker image, and this Docker image is running inside a container, which is nothing but a running instance of your application. A container is not a container until it is not running your application or an instance of your Docker image. So when you search on the Google what is Docker containers, the standard definition of Docker container you will see is Docker container is the running instance of Docker image. I hope you got an understanding of what is difference between a Docker container and a Docker image. A Docker image is, in a very simple term, is a software package. Okay, and Docker container is the running instance of the Docker image or a running instance of your application. So I hope now this is very clear, and you have learned what is difference between a Docker image and a Docker container. Let's quickly get down into the Docker commands and make our hands dirty. So friends, let's break down the Docker commands in the various categories as you can see on the screen. So I have break down this into image commands like Docker pull, Docker push, Docker build, Docker tag, Docker RMI thing. The container commands are Docker run, which is one of the favorite to start your container. Then you have Docker ps minus a, Docker kill, Docker stop, Docker exe, which is one of the important to if you want to run a shell inside a container. Then you have something called as a Docker top, which will show you the top container processes and how much memory each of processes is consuming. Then there is something called as a Docker networking, where we will be executing Docker port to understand what or to show the port mappings, as well as Docker network ls to see the list of networks. Then there are certain system and utilities commands like Docker info, Docker search, Docker in login and Docker out, and finally we have Docker Compose, where we have Docker Compose up minus D means detach to start the multi-container app, and if you want to stop, you have Docker Compose down. So let's first talk about the Docker image commands. So friends, for demo purposes, I'm going to use the Alpine image which is less than 5 MB. So all you need to do is log into hubdocker.com or directly type the Docker Hub Alpine image. It takes you to this official page. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to download the latest tag which you can see on the screen called has age. There are different tags or different versions available, which is 25, 12, 24, latest, 3.32, etc. So on the right hand side you will see a command call has a docker pull alpine colon age. If you don't specify any tag, it will download the latest image. So let's just copy this and let's quickly go to our Docker desktop, which you will see right now I don't have any images or store on my local desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste this, and you see it starts downloading the age tag, and this you will see within few seconds. So it has downloaded it, and our screen of the image has been populated with the name of the image, the tag, the image ID, and when it was created. So now if I want to tag this with a different name, all I'm going to use is tag command, docker tag. I'm going to use this. Okay, this pasted has age, and I'm going to use doc alpine dot demo. So you can see here the sorry sorry, the spell mistake. So you can see here I have created another alpine image but with a different tag called as a demo. If you are familiar with Linux and Unix command, there is a command called as a cp which helps you to copy the content of the file but with a different name. So the tag command is that only. You can also use Docker images to see the list of images stored on your local Docker desktop or your local machine. So you will see here I have Alpine demo. What is the image ID? Image ID in this case is same because I've copied the same thing. Now let's use something called has Docker push to push this image of demo into my repository. So before that, there are two things. Either you can directly log in from the Docker desktop. On the left hand side you will see Docker Hub. Click on that, click on the sign in, you are there. Or you can go to the hub.docker.com and log in there, and it will come up with your home page where you will have repository settings, usage, pull, storage, etc. So right now in my repository there is nothing, right? Either I can create a repository or I can directly start pushing here, which will be my default repository path. So let's quickly do that. So before doing that, if I try to push like this only, let's see what we get. Okay, so we'll use docker push fine and use demo. I will use my ID DT96. Okay, and I will try to push it. So you can see here the tag does not exist. DT96 Alpine Dino does not exist. Let me just remove this because I've already, let me use one sec. Before that, let me use Docker login so that it is authenticated. Okay, you can see on the screen I have already authenticated. So now I will use this Docker push. Okay, and you can see it has given me an error called as insufficient authorization fail. Why? Because this Alpine is I'm not the owner of that. It is the Alpine community is the owner of that. So before that I need to create my need to transfer this on my name, right? So what I'm going to do is docker tag. Okay, I'm going to use Alpine demo, and I'm going to use DT196 to use Alpine demo. So moment I do this, you can see now I have created an image called as DT96 slash Alpine, and the tag of that is demo. So now let's try to push this, right? I will quickly clear it and I will use Docker push DT196, okay, slash Alpine dot demo. What happened now? Docker login. Okay, sorry, I was using the wrong spelling. Okay, so let me log in quickly. I have already logged in. Okay, login successful. Docker post DT196, and let me directly copy from here so that there is no typo error. Okay, and I'm going to use here demo. So you see it has started pushing to my repository, and if I do docker images, okay, now let me quickly take you to my repository to see whether this image was pushed or not. So if I go here and just refresh my page, okay, you can see the image has been pushed to my repository. So that's how you can use the docker push command to basically push the images to your local hub, after you have logged into hub.docker.com. So now suppose you want to basically delete this image, right, from the repository. All you need to do is click on this, okay, and then you need to go to tags, okay, and then you can basically select this and you can click on delete. So it will ask, are you sure you want to delete this? So yes, just click yes, and the moment I do that, you will see the image, the tag itself has been deleted, that version itself has been deleted. So now it is an empty thing, it does not has anything, right? Also, for an example, you want to delete this has a repository itself, you want to delete it, right? So you need to go down and you will see here, deleting repository will destroy all the tags stored within it, and this action cannot be done. So once I click this, it will ask you again, and I will type here Alpine, and moment I do this, it has deleted from my hub. So now you will see this getting deleted, but has this been deleted from my local desktop? Let's quickly check that, and let's go here, and we see still, if I just do here refresh, this was 16 minutes back, so let me just do the refresh, or see here, the images have not been deleted from your local Docker desktop, but it has been deleted from your repository. So you can basically select all this and click here delete. But since we want to learn the command called as RMI, so let's do that. So what I will do is Docker images, okay, and say for any, all I need to do is Docker RMI and the name of the image. Okay, and now if I do Docker images, you will see I just have two images. I have removed that. Let me delete the another image, okay, which is demo. So it has basically untagged, right? So it has deleted that image, and now finally you can delete this one, which is age, and see, everything is now gone from your local. So how can you verify that? This is one you can see on the screen. Other thing is docker images command. So right now I don't have any images stored on my local. I am a fresh new image docker desktop which does not has any local images in it. I hope you got an understanding of how to use the Docker pull, Docker push, Docker tag, how you can basically remove the images using Docker RMI. So let's quickly go to the Docker container now. So friends, let's quickly go through the Docker container commands like docker run, docker ps minus a, docker stop, docker kill, rm, exe, logs, stats, etc. So I'm going to quickly go to my container desktop or the docker desktop, and you can see on the screen right now there are no containers running on my local docker desktop. But we have an image which we downloaded few minutes back, which is the docker which is an alpine latest image. So when I do docker images, I'll see that image is there. Now when I do docker minus ps, there is no container right now running. To create a new container from the image, what you need to do is you need to execute docker run and the name of the image. So what I'm going, or the id name, you can also do that also. And if I do this, oh sorry, docker run, and let's do this. And here you will see in a minute our container is getting created and it has already stopped. Right, why it has stopped? Let's see what content is there in the image. Since it's a very small image, you don't have anything here. We just have a command call as bin sh. So that's why the container got, as soon as it got created, it got stopped. Right now I want to change the name of this magical sender to a test demo. So what I will do is docker run dash dash m, okay, and I will write here the test demo, and I will write here the moment I type that, a container will be getting created, but with the name which we want. You can see here it is test demo. Now you would be seeing, hey Dinesh, this container is immediately creating and getting destroyed. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to write something called as a run minus I. T. I means interactive, T means terminal, and I'm going to write here Irvine. The moment I type here Irvine, it will get into the interactive mode, and you can see it has entered into the bin sh. Right, so now it is not getting terminated. Now say and if I do here docker minus ps, you will, sorry, not here, because you are inside the container. Now let me open another terminal quickly. I will add it here, and you can see a new terminal is getting open. Okay, and I will do docker minus ps, and you can see the container is running, and this is the container id which is running. Okay, if I do docker minus ps minus a, it will give me what are the stop containers, what are the running containers. So that is difference between the docker ps and docker ps minus a. When do you think ps can be used and ps minus a can be used? Say you have started a container and you want to view its container id and how much what is its current status. You can use docker ps, but since you say you have done your deployment, you logged out from the system, and now next day morning you have come back and you want to restart, or you want to check how many containers were stopped, how many containers are currently running, you can use docker ps minus a. Say tomorrow you want to start an old container, right? You can basically use ps minus a, which will give you the list of stopped and unstopped containers. containers. It is nothing but a kind of history command you use in Linux or the Unix to see what all commands I have executed in my previous session, right? Or on that server, right? So that's how you can use. So now what I'm going to do here is, okay, if I go, I'm in the bash terminal. So right now, if I do ls, I will see all the Unix directories, what are there, right? So if I scroll bit up, you will see all these directories are there: mnt, media, has been bin, root. You can also see that from here, okay, view details. And if I go to the files, you will see all these details. Right now we don't have so right now when we executed ls minus lrt, it has written in the logs. How can you view the logs of a container? You can use docker. So whatever is seen on the front end GUI of Docker Desktop, you can see the same thing, uh, docker logs. And I will put the name, what is the container which is running, this is the name, and paste this here. You will see the same output what I have got it here, right? So that's how you can basically, oh, what happened, okay, the one sec, when I do, okay, docker ps, okay, wait, let me clear the screen and let me docker logs, right? You will see the same thing, right? So that's how it is. Yes, okay, so this is the container running logs. Yep. Okay, so let me clear the screen now. Let us create a file here. Okay, let's see what happens, right? So I'm going to create a touch file called as test.txt. And if you can see here, the logs got incremented. It showed me that you have created a test.txt file. How can I check whether it is created or not? ls minus lrt, you can see it has given an output. So logs are also getting incremented. If you go to the files, you will see the test.txt file got created, which is here. So tomorrow, if in the command prompt, say for an example, I want to write here echo hello, and I just redirect that to this file, okay, you can see here what am okay, I corrected it, right? So when I do text not txt, you will see the hello keyword. So everything is getting captured in the logs right now. If you see the docker ps, right, this is running, and now I want to basically stop this container. What I will do is docker stop. Okay, let's see if I want to remove this container, what happens, right? Let's see. Okay, you get an error saying that you cannot remove the container because the container is in the running state. So before removing a container, you need to basically stop that container. And there are two ways you can do it. You can use docker stop. You can also use a docker kill command. So let's use uh, docker stop. Okay, and I know the container id, and let's see what happens. Okay, so if I'm doing here, see, I should come out of the interactive session. See here, it has, we are out of interactive session. Now, if I do docker ps, I would not see anything running, right? But if I do docker ps minus a, I will see my container was executed, which was 19 seconds ago, which is what we did. See here, it is matching. So that's how you can use in this scenarios docker ps minus a and ps also. So we until now we have learned how to start the container. So I want to say again, start this container. I will do docker start. Okay, paste. Okay, I can also do docker start minus it. Let me see if it runs. It's not. So I just want to restart this container, right? So started it, it's coming up, you will see it's up. But since it does not has anything, you will see it. Oh, okay, it got restarted. It was restarted c seconds ago, and now it is this. So let's go back to our containers GUI and let's just, so you see our container is started. I have restarted the container, it is running this. Now if I do docker minus pa, okay, I'll get again the history. Okay, so 40 seconds, this is what. Now if I want to check the stats, right, of my container, right, I can basically go on the view details. Okay, I can go directly here, or I can also type command docker stats and the container id. Okay, so there are two ways you can do it, right? Either you execute this command, or you basically go to the front end and you can basically see the stats. How much is the CPU utilization here, what is the memory utilization, what is the disk write, everything you will see here, right? You can also execute the docker stats, which we did, and we got the container id, container name, CPU, memory usage, memory block, etc. So we have got everything what we needed, right? So these are the frequent commands you will use for this. Now say if I want to kill this container, right, what I can do is, yeah, from here I can just click here stop and it will pause it, or I can delete it, right? But what I will do is I'll execute docker kill. Okay, sorry, docker kill, and see the container has been killed. Now if I remove this, you will see our container was killed few minutes ago, right? So you can again use docker ps minus a, and you will see 14 seconds ago we basically exited whatever. Right, so that's how basically you can use docker kill, when to use docker kill, when to use docker stop, when to use docker ps, when to use docker ps minus a, where how to view the logs of a container, which is docker logs. If you have a desktop it becomes easier, but if you don't have, you have a command docker logs and the container id. How to basically run the container, what is difference between a docker run and a docker start, right? And how can you keep your container running, which is docker run minus it, right? And so those are the some of the commands which we use day to day, basically troubleshooting the containers, also restarting the containers, running the new container. So friends, let's talk about the Docker networking, right? Commands, what you can use. So we are going to basically look at Docker network minus ls, Docker network inspect, and Docker port. So Docker port is when you want to basically check on which port your container is running, right? So let's first look at Docker network. For that, let me quickly go to my uh, desktop. Okay, so I'm here and I'm going to type docker network ls, right? So the moment I type that, you see we have got some network ids. What is the name of the network, what is the driver, what is the scope, right? So now if I want to inspect that, what I will do is docker network inspect, and I will just give the name of the network, and see I get all the details. So the name of the network is bridge, this is the id, the scope is local, whether the ip4 ipv4 is enabled, ipv6 is enabled, what is the subnet, what is the gateway. You have lot of other things. It is using this subnet. You have dynamic cips available up to 65,533. This is the driver, this is, there are a lot of other things. So that's how you can use the network command, docker network ls and docker network inspect. Let's quickly look at, if I want to check what version of docker I am running, so I will use docker dash. So if you're not sure about any of the commands, you can use docker help, right? So docker help is similar to the man page in unix and linux, where it gives you the list of how to use each and every command. So here, if I want to basically check how and what to use the commands, you will see I get all the list the moment I type. So it has docker run, exe, ps, build, pull, push, images, docker login we have seen, docker logout. We can also see docker search is used for the images, docker version, docker info. So let's quickly check docker dash dash version. You see it gives me that I'm using the docker version 29.1.3. okay, let me again clear this. Okay, and now if I want to use docker info, I'll just type here docker info, right? And it should give me it should give me the more details about what's going where, what is installed, what version is there, what is the path my docker is installed, and different things. You will get it into more. So server has 3 containers running 0 stop, 3 images we have 1, what is the version of the server, etc. So you get lot of details if you want to basically try to know what and how, which command will give you what output and other stuff. So docker help is your bible, which will help you to basically get you the list of commands which you can use on your day-to-day basis. That's how I basically always refer this if I'm not sure of how to use a specific command, right? So here we got it. So yeah, so let's use docker search, and if I do docker search options, okay, docker search Alpine image, let's do that, right? So when I do this docker search Alpine, it gives me, this is the image, a minimal docker image, and these are the stars. So this, how it is getting this is going to a docker hub or a docker registry, and from there it is pulling you for this. So tomorrow, if you're not sure, before even installing, you want to basically check, so you can basically use docker search Alpine. So if I use for an example, I want to check the nginx, right? Docker search njx, right? So see, it gives me, it started giving me the details, right? And this all is getting pulled from the docker hub registry, right? So that's how I can use. I can also use docker search. If I want to search for python image, I can basically use that also, python. So it started giving me this. So these are very frequent commands used on day-to-day basis, especially the docker container commands, docker images, docker network is also used on day-to-day basis. I hope you got an idea of what how to and when to use which command, as well as I have tried my best to clear the difference between what is a container and what is an image. Remember, docker container is the running instance of docker image. A container is not a container until it is not running the instance of your application or an image. When it is running the image or application, that's where it is a container, and it is nothing but an isolated environment where your instance of an application or a Docker image is running. So until then, take care. Bye bye. See you again, where we will be walking through how to build your images and how to push your image. We have already seen that in our commands, but we will write a simple Docker file, and then we will build the image out of that Docker file, and then finally push that image to our Docker hub repository. So until then, take care. Bye bye. See you soon.